What's good, everybody? My name is Curtis King, and I had the opportunity to produce the entire project by the homies Murs and Dee-1. He's the Christian, I'm the rapper. On this project, I got to really jump into my sample bag thanks to the good folks over at TrackLib. When Murs approached me about doing a project, or actually I think I approached him about doing a full sample-based project, I hadn't sampled in years, and I started off as a sample-based producer. When I worked with Kendrick Lamar and Ab-Soul, most of the stuff people know from my TDE work was all sample-based. Fast forward now, sampling is just so much easier to clear and get into, because that was the main reason I got away from it, was the fact that, man, it's just so challenging to get it cleared if you don't know the publishing companies and if you don't know the process, and that was definitely me. Fast forward to now, there's websites like TrackLib that give us the opportunity to really go in and not only just find samples, but also assist the sampling process, which is something that I really appreciated. So what I did first was I basically went over to the all tracks, and the all tracks, they allow you to kind of separate things by key, separated by track types, BPMs, and release years. So because there wasn't really a direction sonically we wanted to go in, only thing we knew that we wanted to do together, me and Murs first, was to make it really soulful. Dee-1 came a little bit later on in the process, but initially I said, man, I just want to get back into my soul sample bag, like stuff from the 60s, stuff from the 70s that just has a lot of open space, not a lot of heavy percussion and drums, because of course I want to add that as a producer. So on TrackLib, what I did was I started to go through the genres, and I went to R&B soul, didn't really have a preference on the song keys, track types, didn't really change that. BPMs is really where I started to zero in on. 60 till about, I'd say about 85. Then I went to the release year and I made it to where they weren't too old, but I got it around the range of about 1960 till about 1974. And that was really my sweet spot for everything. Region didn't necessarily matter. License category didn't matter. I tried to stay more so with the category C's, but as I went through here, I was just blown away by how many samples were here. So I'm listening to them, and I started to add them to my own collections tab here in TrackLib. These are all the samples that I originally had. For instance, let's try this one. Now you may recognize that from a Drake and Swiss Beats sample and collaboration for Fancy. Oh, you fancy, huh? At the time, I didn't remember or recognize that. I had to, later on, I was told by some folks over at TrackLib it was the same one, but I love going for samples that have choir sounds or like harmony sounds, or where the vocals are just pretty much just out there. Not necessarily a cappella, but having some really subtle melodic features in the background, but just having somebody listen to it. I love this. I don't know how it is for you. I listen to certain things like that and I get goosebumps, even now after I've already chopped this up. But when I'm listening to these, what's super dope about what TrackLib has in terms of the features, I'm playing this, and if I hear something special, I have the opportunity to basically loop it around. So I click this loop feature. Now, of course, those are not the exact chops that I would do, but it at least gives me an idea of, okay, when I play this over, like by the second time, it sounds different. The fourth time, it starts to shift even more. And then by the 10th time, this sample's not even the same sample in my mind. So then I kind of reinterpret it, take pieces maybe from the beginning to the end, put them together and just create a new composition. I went through a bunch of these samples, downloaded them, and I just started cooking up. And one of the first ones, let's get down to the drums. I love that sample so much because it was just asking for sort of those cinematic drums. The drums just open up the entire production. I use a lot of drums that are typically associated with hip hop, but then I use some elements that are like associated with EDM. to make it more cinematic and to make it just feel larger than life and almost have like a 3D texture to it. This one is the Free Mac outro, which I know it's an outro, but it's still one of my favorites on here. Now, another one of my favorites is actually one of the singles they released, which was called Want Me to Win.
They don't really want me to win. They don't really want me to win. Don't want me to win. They don't really want me to win. You ain't never been my friend. You don't want me to win.
This is kind of how I put it together. I added layers to it. Like I added some percussion, as you can see here. Found some loops that I wanted to add on top of it. More so percussion loops. I don't know. When I was putting this together, the sample was like the most perfect layer to start off with. And so as I started with that as my foundation, the drums were just like, all right, you ain't got to do too much. It already feels cinematic. I love that it's not predictable. Hey. What I love about this beat is really being able to add my own elements to it. And I was so dope that Murs and Dee-1 were open to me adding things that are not necessarily traditional hip hop or boom bap. Things like these percussion instruments in the background really give it another texture and character. And you probably barely heard it with all the drums and everything going on. What was super dope is that I had the opportunity to record both Dee-1 and Murs in this very room that I'm doing this video. And just seeing the process come together, seeing their synergy, you could really tell that Murs, being a veteran, being an OG, he understands how important chemistry is. And that chemistry doesn't just start when you get on a song with somebody. Chemistry starts on your way up to the studio. Chemistry starts when you're having conversations beforehand, because obviously everything that we do, everything that we eat, drink, whatever we do in the studio has an effect energetically on the music. So seeing them interact over here just made it a really cohesive project that I'm super proud of. And I'm glad that you finally have your hands on it. Hope you enjoy it. This is definitely me, I feel, at my best as a producer when it comes to sampling, because I just have so much fun and I feel like there's so much life within samples. And shout out to Tracklip for having such a crazy archive of samples from all different genres, because that's what really set it off. Once again, my name is Curtis King. Hope you enjoy the project. He's the Christian, I'm the rapper. I am the producer of that. Talk to you soon. Peace.